Also, for the record, the Harris campaign has not passed on doing the podcast. They offered a date for Tuesday, but I would have had to travel to her, and they wanted to do an hour. I strongly feel the best way to do it is in the studio in Austin. My sincere wish is to just have a nice conversation and get to know her as a human being. I really hope we can make it happen. Joe Rogan posted this. Why? Well, Kamala Harris only wanted to do an hour, and she wanted Joe Rogan to fly out to her. What do you think? Trump did 3 hours. Traditionally, majority of the time, Rogan does 3 hours. Do you think this was a missed opportunity? And I might be getting ahead of myself because she still has time to compromise. But do you think this was a missed opportunity? Do we need to, quote unquote, get to know her? Is she dodging? Is she scared or threatened that she would make a mistake? The cross-examining, the continuation of prying, this Johnny Cochran / Perry Mason type thought could dig a little bit deep down the rabbit hole, and she just might get caught up. You see, 3 hours, that can be intense, not just because of the length / time and that she's continuing asking questions. We might just be able to find something out. We just might, look, people. This is the finish line. We got 7 days? We got the finish line. And she won't commit to 3 hours? What does that say to you? Will it change your mind? Can it change your mind? Is there a benefit? Cost, benefit, ratio, the business side? What do you think? Look, I'm telling you, if this is chess, Trump made a move hands down because he waited until the end to see Rogan, rolling the dice that, hey, if she don't, boom, it helps me. Now this video, I'm going to get into a few things because I want to show some polling. I don't put 100% stock in polling. However, I'm going to show where we at through, someone's network. And then we're going to light it up at the end, okay? How about that? So, let's go.
We see it shaping up, okay? We believe Republicans get control with 51 seats for Republicans, and the 51 might be the floor, as you're going to see in a moment here. Everything in yellow, all the blue wall, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, we believe they are still toss-ups. So what we have seen in the last 2 weeks, tightening races in Pennsylvania, tightening races in Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin as well. So where does that leave us? This is what we believe, okay? We think right now, like maybe the forecasts are not necessarily going the way we expect. For Dems to have a good night, they would maintain the majority of 51, okay, on the Senate side. For Republicans to have a good night, when you consider the states that I just ticked off there, 55 would be a really good night for the GOP, and we'll see whether or not they can get to those numbers, right? Now, why is it changing? What are we seeing out there? We have moved a lot of our upper Midwest states from lean Democrat, like Michigan, to a toss-up. Lean Democrat in Pennsylvania
to a toss-up. Wisconsin, toss-up. Now what do you think? Now what do you think? You know, I'm gonna go off script for a second. I just thought about something. You guys need to see something, and I hope I don't mess this up. Redacted did something yesterday. Redacted did something, and this will, I know this will blow your mind. Redacted showed, you know what? Let me just go to it and take a chance. Let me go to it. Redacted showed that, let's go to here. Redacted did, I think it's this one here.
If you've been wondering what an October...
I want to show you guys this here. Redacted did something in relation to Joe Rogan and how he had to go and then post it on X because his information allegedly was buried and he couldn't get, well, that is, you know, he interviewed Donald Trump. And as he interviewed Donald Trump, he was trying to get information out. And you can't find it. So he put it on X. In other words, when you just type in Joe Rogan and interview with Trump, guess what? It's hard to find. So Rogan allegedly put it on X. Listen.
That's relevant. Here's Bill O'Reilly and I mean, Jon Stewart. That's relevant. Here's Saturday Night Live. That's relevant. So do any search you want. Unless you specifically go to Rogan's page, you won't be able to find it. So what did Joe Rogan do? He posted it on X this morning or overnight, I think. And now at this point, as of 10:21 p.m. last night, had 5 million views in just like a short amount of time. He says, since there's an issue with searching for this episode on YouTube, here's the full podcast with Trump.
Isn't that something? Now, this is alleged. I caught this late last night. Joe Rogan interviewed Trump. Joe Rogan's negotiating somewhere in the window of a 24-hour period, I'm assuming, maybe 36 hours. Hey, Kamala, I want to interview you. Now, allegedly, when you go on your search engine, you can't find the interview. You got to scroll so deep, or you got to type in literally Joe Rogan podcast to see the interview of Donald Trump. Because everything else is coming up. This is what they're alleging. No matter where you go, you get something else. You type in Trump Rogan. See that? You type in Trump Rogan, and you get everything else. You're not getting the Rogan show. So he's like, well, wait a minute. I want people to see my show. So he puts it on X. Is that the new strategy? Since allegedly she don't want to be with him for 3 hours? Hey, baby, look, I just wanted to put this out there. Now, let's go into this thing. I've showed this before, but I believe this is very important because it very well could be a tie. Now, let's look at this thing historically, okay? Here we go. All right, we're going to learn together. Listen to this here.
But in 1800, the rules stated that each elector was allowed to vote for 2 people, one for president and one for the VP. The candidate with the most votes would be elected president, and the runner-up would be vice president. But when the votes were counted, there was a tie, and it wasn't even with the 2 presidential candidates. Instead, Jefferson and his VP running mate, Aaron Burr, both got 73 votes. That left Federalists John Adams and his running mate Charles Pinckney out entirely. And they weren't happy about it. Leading Federalist Alexander Hamilton even suggested nominating different electors who could change the results in their favor. To look for answers, all eyes turned to Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, which gave members of the House of Representatives the authority to vote for a winner. It took 6 days of fierce debate and no less than 36 votes to break the deadlock.
When they broke the deadlock, Jefferson became the winner. Okay? Look at that 36, though. It speaks, don't it? Now, at the end of the day, what happened was this. Less than 3 years later, they came out with this 12th Amendment. Watch this here.
Less than 4 years later, the 12th Amendment was ratified, which stipulates that each elector must cast 2 separate votes, one for president and one for vice president. Why is
that solved the problem, okay? That solved the problem. Now, here they are. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams. Will history repeat? Back in the day, it took, 4 days? October 31st to December 3rd, okay? Right here, all right? And like I just showed you, Thomas Jefferson wound up winning over John Adams. But something interesting went down also, people. Let me show you this here. Read this again. On June 15th, 1804, the 12th Amendment of the United States Constitution was... Now this is deep. I want you to pay attention. This is deep. Because in relation to this here, something could jump off and it'll be in the House of Representatives' hands to make a decision and or the Senate. Watch this. This is what happened historically. Ratified by 3/4 of the state legislature. Notice the date, June 15th. Does that ring a bell? Donald Trump is June 14th. Isn't that close? Wow. So to keep the deadlock, so instead of having it where you go from that one, the vote situation to another type of situation, this is what it did. We break it down. I know it can be confusing, but look here. The amendment established the procedure for electing the president and vice president, replacing the original process outlined in Article 2, Section 1, Clause 3 of the Constitution. The new rules went into effect for the 1804 presidential election and have been used in every presidential election since. Okay? Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, that's right. The 12th Amendment was created to prevent a repeat of the 1800 election when Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr tied for the most electoral college votes. The amendment includes the following provisions. 1, electors vote separately for president and vice president, just like the film said. 2, each electoral casts 1 vote for each office. 3, if no candidate receives a majority of electoral votes for president, the House and of Representatives chooses the president. But baby, it has a lot of scenarios. So watch this here. So we go from that House of Representatives to this. If no candidate receives a majority of the electoral votes for vice president, the Senate chooses the vice president. If the House of Representatives fails to select a president by inauguration day, the vice president acts as president. This thing matches the chaos moment that we're in, you think? And it makes me wonder, are they trying to tell us something? Because there's a tight battle for control of the Senate. Is it predictive programming? Are they look, I'm just asking. History could very well do, I guess, a subtle repeat or have a twist. Man, let's move further. Now, let's get some thought in relation to this interview, possibly with Joe Rogan.
Well, Joe Biden, crosshairs. Yes, and you hit the nail on the head when we talked about Joe Rogan. I forget your exact phrasing, but it was, if you're a listener of curiosity, subscriber to curiosity, you listen to Joe Rogan. Kamala should have done this. She was in Texas. There's no reason not to stop by his studios. I had a mom say to me when we were at practice for our daughters, I feel like I've gotten to know Donald Trump through these podcasts. He's not the monster everyone pictures him to be. He's real, he's authentic, and these 3-hour-long episodes give people a chance to see who he is authentically. Why Kamala Harris would miss out on that opportunity, I do not know, but it is indeed a missed opportunity.
And it's hard, Kennedy, because in conjunction with her declining or as yet to accept the invitation, there's also been a lot of slamming, right? We saw coming out of the campaign and CNN analysts saying that those who listen to Joe Rogan need therapy when, to Kaylee's point, they simply are open to new ideas or to new information or to seeing an old person in a new light other than what the mainstream media might have you think.
And that's what they're saying they want. They're saying that they want to end the division in the country. One of the best ways to do that is through curiosity. And if more people were curious and had conversations with others,
So, speak to the public through Joe Rogan. That's the answer, right? Here we go.
Is true, and they just refuse to admit the truth to themselves. See, I don't get upset when I go on social media and I see somebody bashing Trump. And for one, it's because I believe Trump is the better candidate, and I believe that he's going to win in November because I believe the American people are going to see that. And another reason I don't get upset, too, is because people have every right to bash him. He's running for office. And I also know that Donald Trump is a big boy. He can handle himself. But when it comes to Kamala Harris, people get so upset to the point where they're almost defensive, almost as if they feel like you have no right to talk about her. They don't mind you talking about Donald Trump and about how bad he is. But as soon as you mention her, people feel like they have to protect her and shield her as if she's a 5-year-old girl. I think the reason they're doing that is because they know she's incompetent. They know she can't hold her own. They know she is not cut out for the job. Because if she was cut out for the job, she would be able to stand up and take everything that's thrown at her.
Woo! Hey, look, sometimes you just gotta hear a pure view. It's a woman of color. Don't have to throw that in there, but I did. But there is a call from the universe, the biggest podcaster on earth. So I'm just saying from the universe. Right? There's a call. And again, Trump interviewing with this man a week ago, perfect timing. Perfect timing. It forces her hand. And she's like, well, you can fly out to me and we'll do an hour. Come on, man. Come on. Look, this is heavyweight time. Ding, ding, ding. Look, the champion, let's get ready to rumble time. And this is what, look, one of the most beautiful things about this time, people, is that you have instantaneous information, the internet. When I was starting in the media, you had to go home and get your messages, right? And then when you got older, you could put in a code and hear your message on the phone. Now you can get stuff instantaneously. Text, email, you know the whole thing. And it's the same way with this communications here. We're being able to find out, not after the election, how she's strategizing. We see it in real time. In real time. Come on, get this done. Right? I cracked a joke yesterday on my live. I said, you guys remember back in the day, Polly Purebred. Oh, where has my underdog gone? Oh, where can he be? Come on, man. Is she the underdog? Is she the underdog? Somebody, look, I'm old school. Anybody, for those who don't know, look, this is underdog. This is underdog. And it was Sweet Polly Purebred back in the day. I think she's saying that. I don't know where she at. But anyway, this is underdog. Right? This is the guy. Grew up underdog. And that song fits this moment. Where's she at? Where's she at? Come on, man. Come on. Let's go further on this thing. Megyn Kelly, her response.
where his show is based, and she won't sit for 3 hours, which is what he does with his guests. She said, "You come to me and I'll give you one." How obnoxious is she? And then you've got people like former ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul, out there tweeting at Joe Rogan saying, "Come on, her schedule's a lot busier than yours is. Joe, get on a private plane and go to where she is." And Joe said, "I really think my show works best from its home base, and she's got a wide open invitation to come anytime." She won't do it. First of all, is there a person on earth who thinks Kamala Harris can handle a 3-hour interview with Joe Rogan? I mean, she knows she can. Her team knows she can. And so they said, okay, maybe just an hour to try to make it a deal breaker so that he would be the one to say no. And they said, you have to come to us, which, again, they're setting these impossible conditions so that he'll say no. And he's just standing there saying, this is the Joe Rogan show. You do it here in my studio. I'll fly you down. We sit, we chat for 3 hours. Like,
you know what? I love her tone. You know, I don't come off that way. And people think I'm angry sometimes. I just come off a certain way. But I love her tone. And it's sensible, it's rational, whatever you want to throw up in there. So you gonna tell me how to run my show? Come on, man. We might come back to Kelly. I like the way Kelly put it. Now let's go to the lighter side. This is DQ's new friend, okay? Listen to what he got to say. We're gonna lighten the thing up. Here we go.
Trump rally to the right, folks. Come on. Okay, whoops, sorry. Wait. Let me just stand right here. Okay, you're good. Okay. USA. Look at you. My good. Look at this getup. Holy crap. I almost wore that, you know. But thankfully, my meds kicked in. Because it's absurd. Where are you two from?
Annapolis, Maryland.
Oh, out of towners. So tell me, since you arrived in New York City, how many times have you been murdered? So you're a big Trump fan?
Yes.
I tell you what, at least Trump's the legitimate nominee. Kamala, you know, it was like a coup, right? They handed her the nomination.
You're right.
She still has to get past Trump.
Yes.
Which for a woman is very hard to do without pepper spray. Everyone else.
And last but not least, I hope this goes over. If not, you'll miss it. But hey, check out this comedic view. This is comedy. Check it out.
Y'all gonna do that? She's from Oakland. We cannot be unburdened by what has been when we can be unburdened by what could be. Okay? Kamala, what's your favorite color? I was born in a middle-class family.
I grew up a middle-class kid.
And in a middle-class family, you were not in the upper class or the lower class.
I grew up a middle-class kid.
You were in the middle of the class, you see.
I was raised as a middle-class kid.
Kamala, what do you like to eat for dinner? A middle-class family. Do you understand what I'm saying? Middle class.
And I come from the middle class.
Not the top and not the bottom.
From middle class.
Right there in the middle. That's where we is. Who's voting for Kamala Harris? Y'all gonna do that? She's from Oakland. We cannot be unburdened by what has been when we can be unburdened by what could be. Okay? Kamala, what's your favorite color? I was born in a middle-class family.
I grew up a middle-class kid.
And in a middle-class family, you were not in the upper class or the lower class.
I grew up a middle-class kid.
You were in the middle of the class, you see.
I was raised as a middle-class kid.
Kamala, what do you like to eat for dinner? A middle-class family. Do you understand what I'm saying? Middle class.
And I come from the middle class.
Not the top and not the bottom.
From middle class.
Right there in the middle. That's where we is. Who's
Well, people, again, we have 6 days. 6 days. And I kind of like this one. I kind of like this one here. I like this one a little bit. I just like the way her perspective is as well. The Megyn Kelly, great. We're going to end with this one here.
Is true, and they just refuse to admit the truth to themselves. See, I don't get upset when I go on social media and I see somebody bashing Trump. And for one, it's because I believe Trump is the better candidate, and I believe that he's going to win in November because I believe the American people are going to see that. And another reason I don't get upset, too, is because people have every right to bash him. He's running for office. And I also know that Donald Trump is a big boy. He can handle himself. But when it comes to Kamala Harris, people get so upset to the point where they're almost defensive, almost as if they feel like you have no right to talk about her. They don't mind you talking about Donald Trump and about how bad he is. But as soon as you mention her, people feel like they have to protect her and shield her as if she's a
little girl. Listen.
5-year-old girl. I think
now let me throw you my theory on this. I've said this before in different aspects. When Obama was running, that was a new thing. The powers, they are strategic planners, and they have a thing called, I call it the art of gradualism. For generations, racism was a tool and is a tool utilized by the power. It doesn't mean that racism doesn't exist. Racism, sexism, all those different things, believe it or not, the powers have been involved in that since the beginning and founding of our country. I believe it. The more I research, the more I understand. See, because they have an end game. And the end game is to now give you what you've always been denied. America has always been denied identity politics. Woo. I give you now Barack Obama, and everybody voted for him. What did he do for black people? You understand what I'm saying? That's the question. That's the question. What did he want to do for black people? These are the questions that have to be asked. And you were sucked in through denial. That is, because blacks been trying to fight for things, trying to get more and more acclimated into society and accepted. Now we give you it. Now you're hungry. We're going to quench your thirst and give you this black man. But what is he going to do for black people? What is he going to do for all of America? Look at Obamacare. Now it's the same, I believe, with Kamala Harris. We've never had a woman. See the game they're playing? Now I'm going to give you a woman. Not only am I going to give you a woman, I'm going to give you a woman of color. So now I'm definitely going to quench your thirst. Number one, I give you a woman. Number two, of color. And everybody's going to rally around her, so now I got to protect her. What about her policies? What about her last 3.5 years? Whether it's black, white, Asian, whatever. Economy ain't got no color. You feel me? Milk, gas, home heating costs, 40% housing and rent then went up the last 3.5 years. 40%. Can you imagine housing going up 40% in the last 3.5 years? That is a statistical fact. And all Joe want to say, and all she want to say is that jobs are better. That's all you running on? So I got a job, but to buy the American dream, which is a house, is 40% more in 3.5 years under your administration. I'm done. I am done. What are you saying, Pearson? Whether it was Donald Trump or Mickey Mouse or whoever was running as an opposition, people want to get rid of her. And they will run to the option, whatever it is. Joe and Kamala, or at least, I would say, put in the comment section, at least 35, maybe 40% of the reason why people tolerate whatever it is about Trump. They just don't want another 3.5 to 4 years of this garbage. Put in the comment section if you agree, don't agree, and what percentage you think of people who are running to him. In other words, look in the mirror, Joe. Look in the mirror, Kamala. You destroyed the faith that we could possibly have in you. I'm Friend Shot Pierce. Like the video, thumbs up. You know how I roll. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and check. Make sure you subscribe every day. God bless America. God bless the world.